Let me ask you a crazy question. Are you willing to park in the dirt? And you probably don't even know what I mean by that. I'll explain in the form of a funny story that I think you'll enjoy. But first, let me just say one of the most profound things I ever learned as a leader is that the quality of my life is based on the quality of the questions that I ask. Another way to say that is the quality of my results is often based on the quality of the questions that I ask. So how could "are you willing to park in the dirt" be a high quality question? Let me tell you in the form of a funny story. But before I do, let me just say my name's John Boggs. I'm the founder of the Business and Leadership Division of the Brave Thinking Institute, where I also serve as CEO. And it's wonderful to be with you on this Monday morning for Monday Morning Mindset, where transformational leaders learn tools and strategies to transform ordinary into extraordinary. So let me tell you about parking in the dirt. You know, I used to be the sales director for a resort in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Beautiful property, 5-star, right on the beach, amazing place to work. One of my main tasks was recruiting and hiring sales talent, salespeople, sales managers, leaders. And I had a challenge that I faced. You see, the resort didn't have a very large parking lot. So the owners down the hill from the resort in a dry riverbed took a bulldozer and made an extra big dirt parking lot down there. And most of the people working at the resort had to park in the dirt, which wasn't a big deal for some people. However, for the sales staff, where they're dressed up nice and they've got dress shoes on, tromping across a dirt parking lot in the dust and then climbing 40 stairs up a hill to get to the end of a paved parking lot, and then walking across the paved parking lot in 90 or 100 degree weather, so that by the time you got to the sales room, you were dirty, dusty, sweaty, was not a good experience as a salesperson. And in fact, this became known around town that if you worked at our resort, you had to park in the dirt. And so while "are you willing to park in the dirt" doesn't sound at first like a transformational question, it's the question that's the foundation of that question. It's the question under that question that is the question you and I can use to create better results in our own lives. The question was this. You see, as I'm recruiting people and they're telling me, "I don't want to come and work there because you got to park in the dirt. I don't want to work there because you got to park in the dirt," I began to ask myself, is there some way to turn what looks like a disadvantage into an advantage? So think about this. How can you take a disadvantage and turn it into an advantage? You know, I coach people, business owners, and I often hear some version of what is their disadvantage, what is their dirt parking lot. It might sound, in one day, I'll be on a call with someone that lives in a small town running a business, and they'll be telling me the challenges they're facing are because they're in a small market. If they were in a large market, it would all be better. And the next call, I'll be coaching someone that lives in a large market that says, you know, there's too much competition in this large market. If I lived in a small market, it would be way better. It's all about our perception. So for me, I started to think, what could I do with this dirt parking lot that would make it an advantage instead of a disadvantage? And there was a day and a time where I was sitting across the sales leader, and they were telling me what it was going to take for me to recruit them to come and work at our resort. And one of the things on the list was, you need to give me a parking spot in the upper parking lot. Now, I did have a handful of parking spots upstairs. And yes, those went to the sales leadership as well as to the top sales performers. If you were the number one person each month, you got to park upstairs. And so there were a coveted number of spots. And I could have given one of the spots to that sales leader as I was recruiting them. And in fact, that was often what I did to recruit talent. And that day, a new idea landed in my thinking, and I was able to share it with this leader. And I said to the leader, you know, I could include a parking spot upstairs in your benefit package for you to come and work here. But I'm actually going to suggest to you that you remove it from your request. And he looked at me like, are you crazy? Why would I want to remove that from my request? I want an upstairs parking spot. And I said, here's the deal. If you come to work here as a leader and you immediately park upstairs, you're going to miss an opportunity that you don't want to miss. I said, what are you talking about? You have an opportunity to connect with and to start at the bottom And you're never going to have an opportunity to be brand new after this. This is your one shot to be brand new. Here's what you could do if you would be willing to park in the dirt, at least for a month. You would have a chance to connect and build rapport and develop a relationship with those folks that are in the bottom half, that bottom third of the sales organization, so that you can inspire and motivate and help train those folks with greater connection to help them rise, so that not only you wind up parking upstairs in the paved lot, but you take some of them with you. And if you start up top, you immediately start disconnected from that group. You're always, as a sales leader, going to be connected to the top third of your sales organization in much deeper ways. It's much more challenging to connect to the bottom third. This is an opportunity where you're brand new, where you're fresh, to start as a man among men, a worker among workers, a woman among women that are all trying to do the same thing. Don't miss this opportunity. And here's the kicker. When you wind up someday with my job and you're recruiting people and you're suggesting they park in the dirt, you will always have the opportunity to say, when I started, I parked in the dirt. Every time you're trying to hire a salesperson and they give you the objection, well, I don't want to park in the dirt, you'll have the advantage of saying, I parked in the dirt. If I parked in the dirt, you can park in the dirt. Work your way up, earn it. And he thought about it. He contemplated the idea for a minute. And he said, all right, I'm in. I'm willing to park in the dirt. And that particular saying in that industry became legendary. It became a legendary thing to be the kind of leader who's willing to park in the dirt. You know, Mary Morrissey, the founder of the Brave Thinking Institute, has a similar version of her story. She wanted to start her teaching, speaking ministry, and so she opened an opportunity to be able to do that by renting the Oddfellows Hall in Beaverton, Oregon on Sunday mornings. And the deal was, in order to get a discount in the rent so she could afford it, every Sunday when she was done with church and the congregants left, she had to be willing to clean the Oddfellows Hall. And so imagine for a minute this minister in her career speaking as the minister on Sunday, everybody leaving, and then her changing clothes and mopping floors and scrubbing toilets. Doing whatever it takes, being willing to start at the bottom. Now, every person that ever worked at the church throughout the 25 plus years, 26 years, I believe, that the church was open, every person that ever worked there, every person that ever mopped a floor, every person that ever cleaned a toilet knew that Mary Morrissey had scrubbed toilets and mopped floors. That was an absolutely invaluable moment in her own leadership. And so for you, how can you turn what looks like a disadvantage into an advantage? How can you be willing to do whatever it takes to qualify yourself for your dream, your goals? Are you willing to park in the dirt? You see, it's a game-changing question, is it not? A question that can make the difference. So I hope that this serves you. If it has, make sure that you comment down below. If it's helpful, give me a like. Share this with someone that you think will love it. And if you're new to the community, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that we can be back together next Monday for another Monday Morning Mindset. Make it a transformational week. Take care. Bye-bye.